What if the only thing standing between you and your biggest dreams is the story you keep telling yourself? Well, it's time to break free from those limiting beliefs and become the unstoppable force you know you were meant to be. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to explain a 5-step process that we're going to go from transferring limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs and really step into that unstoppable version of yourself. So let's begin. Step 1, we have to become conscious of the unconscious. So what does that mean? Every day, probably 95% of the day, we are operating on autopilot. What's happening is we are thinking 40 to 50 thoughts every minute. And 90% of those, if you're unaware, are negative thoughts. A thought creates a belief, which then creates your reality. So let's create a visual to explain. This circle here, if you imagine that is your mind, and that top 10% represents your conscious mind. So that's where we're doing our strategic thinking, decision making. We're taking in what's going on in our outer world. The other 90% is our subconscious mind. And that's where all our habits, beliefs, emotions, patterns, they're all stored in the subconscious mind. A lot of those were stored when we were up to the age of 7, where we were like a sponge absorbing everything in. And we're still living with some of those in our subconscious programming, which is why we have to become conscious of the unconscious to pick those programs out and realize that they are running. Step 2 is then our self-reflective universe. We are using direct feedback. And the way this works is your outer world is a mirror of your inner world, i.e. your subconscious beliefs. So if you're operating from limiting beliefs that are stored in your subconscious, then that is going to reflect to you in your outer world of what's going on. So let's do an example. If in your outer world you are reflecting men, for example, that don't respect you as a woman, then what that's reflecting back to you is something internally in you that this is showing up. Things like you don't believe you are worthy and you don't respect yourself. So it's showing up in your outer world to show you what's going on inside and what you need to look at. So it's perfect because we have the mirror image and all we have to do is observe so we know what needs to be looked at. Step 3 is reprogram. So now that we know the thoughts we're thinking, we can change the thoughts. The automatic programming that's reflecting back to us as information, we now know what that's telling us for us to then in step 3 reprogram our subconscious beliefs. And the way we do that is called Psych K. What Psych K does is it puts you into a whole brain state so that you can access the subconscious to reprogram that with the belief that you want, to be in alignment with exactly what you want to create. If you're programmed with limiting beliefs, then that's all that's going to show in the outer world. If you believe you're not worthy of money and abundance, then that's all that's going to show up in your outer world until you change the programming. Think of it as a reset button for what you want to create. Step 4 is then integration. So now that we have reprogrammed our subconscious beliefs, we need to integrate those into our lives. So we then go and take the action. What will happen then by you taking the action? Things will come up in your outer world to reflect back that that belief has changed. And then something else may show up that you think, I'd rather it different than that. Then you go back through the loop. What was I thinking? What was I then in my subconscious programming? Okay, we'll reprogram that and then integrate. So it's a very simple process. And over time, then over the 3 months, you're then reprogramming, pressing the reset button on the subconscious mind. And then step 5 is embodiment. So what does that mean? We're going to embody all these changes. If I want to become a certain person and I want to achieve something, I'm only going to achieve that if I've already become that person and I can see myself being that person. So how we do that is we visualize, right? Consistently visualize, who is that person? Who am I being? What am I saying? What's my body language? What does it feel like to be in that particular job role or that house or whatever we want to create? You've got to embody it and you've got to feel it, and it's got to be as if you've already got it. Over time, with consistency, then your results will show up because you're already being that person. And if you feel like you can't embody it, then there's a block. Very often I find, and this was me at the beginning, I didn't believe that I was worthy to have those things. And it was my subconscious programming that was actually stopping me embodying it because I didn't feel like I was worthy of having it. And then once I shifted that, I could feel every bit of it and I became that person. So energetically, you are then a match. And this is exactly what I do with my clients on the Become Unstoppable course. It's a 3-month program that works through this 5-step process. And I work with the clients from where they are now, and where they want to be. And in between that, we have a number of limiting beliefs that we need to replace in order to get to the position of where we want to be. And we work along that timeline. So if this sounds of interest to you and you are really ready to step into that unstoppable version of you and really take it seriously, you have to go all in on this. And trust me, if people say to you, why are you investing in yourself like they did with me? Deep down, you know what you're capable of. Doesn't matter what anybody else says, you know, deep down, no matter the self-talk, no matter the limiting beliefs, your gut tells you you want more and you are allowed to ask for more. All that is a limiting belief. So if you're ready to take that step, click the link below and book a discovery call with me. There is no obligation, just a chance to explore how this might impact your life. Click the link and I'll see you there.